But right now, let's head to the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. We're joined by Mick Akers from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Talk some A's here. And Mick, thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time. Just your thoughts on the second announced binding agreement for the A's to relocate. This time, the agreement's with Bally's.
Yeah, so this whole process has kind of been playing out over the last 2 years or so. The Trop site came up pretty early, and it stayed on the list after, they whittled it down from a list of over 20, and it eventually went down to about 3. So, once it was down to the 3, I thought, hey, that's the one they probably want. So you fast forward, and they hop over to the Wild Wild West site, which is a mile west of it on the same street, Tropicana. So, when that occurred, that was a little surprising. Obviously, everyone thought that was, hey, that's a site. And then all of a sudden, Tropicana comes back into the fray, and then, just so happens that Bally's Corp offer their 9 acres of land on the strip for free, to entice them to come back over there. So, that kind of made the surprising move make a little bit more sense, saying, hey, instead of paying $100-something million over here, you're going to get this land here for free and be on the strip.
Mick, quite frankly, man, as an Oakland A's fan, lifelong Oakland A's fan, I know the Oakland A's, the organization, the team, they want to be in Las Vegas. But in your opinion, does Las Vegas really want the A's?
Yeah, we're kind of in the midst of a pro sports revolution going on here in Vegas. Just started with the Knights, and then we got Raiders, Aces, and now we're potentially, looking at NBA with the Oakview group, looking at, Las Vegas Boulevard and Warm Springs, and now we have the A's, obviously been around here for 2 years. When it first kind of started happening, people thought they were kind of using Las Vegas as leverage maybe to get a better deal in Oakland. Now we're here, 2 years later. Everything kind of seemed to progress towards Vegas. It seemed like all the momentum was, just shifting there slowly, but all of a sudden now here we are where it's like, hey, we're looking to get this money and get this thing going. So, people have kind of been, over the last 2 years at first, since they thought it was leverage, they kind of weren't on board, it seemed like, for the most part. So, since this has grown and, the process has played out, it seems like a lot more fans are, looking forward to it. And I've seen a lot more A's hats popping up around town too. So that, that's pretty good indicator that people are kind of taking to it already.
Mick Akers from the Las Vegas Review-Journal is with us here on Cattles and Ramie, JJ and for Ramie, Sactown Sports. They're wearing hats, Mick, but will the A's get the hundreds of millions they seek from the public financing?
Yeah, that's what everyone's waiting to see. Obviously, still haven't filed the bill. Indications where it's supposed to happen sometime this week. Obviously, we're here on Tuesday, so plenty of time left this week. So once it gets filed, which we've been told it's about a $395 million ask, down from the $501 that they were going to have over on the Wild Wild West site. So still a pretty big chunk of change. It would just be generated mainly by a tax district, maybe some other mechanisms, but that would be the main provider for it, which is kind of setting up a district around the stadium itself, and we'll kind of take the taxes that generates and then put it and pay off the bonds that would have to do over 30 years. So we've had the one with the Raiders, $750 million. That was a room tax that, anyone that stays in a hotel room here in the Las Vegas Valley will be paying that less than 1%. So, that's been generating money since March of 2017, just when the Raiders stuff started, happening out here, even before construction. So, people were looking at a little bit of a different light, since it's not adding a new tax. It's kind of taking away taxes that will be generated. So, in a way, it's taking away tax money that, that would probably go towards other things here in Clark County. But, for the most part, it seems like there's like a 50-50 split from people you talk to. A lot of people are saying we're in a wait-and-see mode. We want to see what the exact language is, what the ask is, and what kind of, any kind of things they throw in there, that might be something we're not expecting. So a lot of people up in the legislature are kind of just taking a wait-and-see approach, and then once we, see the bill, we'll get a little bit better idea of, what the temperature is up there.
Mickey, basically saying that someone who visits Las Vegas frequently, I'm going to be paying for higher resort taxes and more fees, and it's going to be more pressure on my pocket. I get it. I understand. The number $2.5 million annually, that's the goal for the A's and Bally's. That's what they put in their report. It seems a bit too high. They're looking for 2.5 million people to come through that turnstile every year. But that's projecting a sellout pretty much every game. Is that feasible in Las Vegas for a terrible team like the A's?
Well, that's, the base, people look at all the baseball games, but obviously they're looking to host other events there throughout the year as well. Similar thing happened when the Raiders were doing their thing out here, when they were kind of going through the process of getting the stadium approved and the money approved. And they're throwing out these numbers of, how many people would come here and visit for games and such, and how much percentage the opposing fans would be in the stadium on a given game day. Those initial projections are like 27% of fans would be from out of market. And that's trending over 50%, and that's a 62,000 plus seat arena there. So twice the size, and they're smashing their projections that they made early on. So people kind of look at this number too and say, hey, that's probably not feasible. When you take the 81 baseball games and say, a dozen larger events, and I'm sure they'll have smaller events like Allegiant Stadium does. They don't just have major events; they have a bunch of small ones that add up to the number. So I think that number is feasible. Just the fact that it's going to be more than baseball games they're looking to host there.
Mick Akers with us here, Las Vegas Review Journal. He's on the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. My last one for you, Mick, today. Does anyone in Vegas care about John Fisher's track record of shenanigans?
A lot of people ask about, hey, if they come here, is he going to put, the money to keep the team competitive? Obviously, that hasn't been the case in Oakland in recent years. You had Major League Baseball Commissioner Manfred come out saying, hey, the reason why he's not doing that is because he's spending all this money trying to get a stadium done in Oakland. You can take that for what it is. He mentioned $100 million. So he said, I'm confident if they go to Vegas, they're going to field a competitive team. So people are worried about that out here. They go, hey, if they come, once the novelty runs off, obviously, people are going to come right away and go to games when it's new. But, if they don't put something on the field that's competitive, then, say a few years down the line, the fans aren't going to be showing up like they're not right now in Oakland. So, that's the big question, if they end up here. Are they going to be competitive? We have Manfred saying, yes, they will. And, that's another wait and see thing. Hey, when they get out here, the excitement's going to, be there. It's going to take a few years. Even right now with the Raiders, it's, still tons of excitement with the games. The second highest on the resale market for the games that were just released last week by NFL. So that buzz is still there. It just remains to be seen if that carries over with Major League Baseball, being that there's so many more games than just 10 home games a year with NFL.
Mick, the Las Vegas Aviators, a AAA affiliate of the Oakland A's, of course, they play out there in Las Vegas, and I would imagine you've been to the ballpark. The lease for the Oakland A's here is up after next year for the ball club in Oakland, and there's been some talks and conversations that the A's might jump ahead of the process and go down to Las Vegas and play before their new ballpark is open. Does that ballpark, is it feasible? Can it house a team for 2 to 3 years? Kind of what we've heard.
Yeah, it's a fairly new stadium, obviously. So it's the nicest one in the minor leagues. About 10,000 people it fits. I would assume there's some areas, there's some party decks they have where I would assume they can add some temporary stands as well and kind of up that maybe more towards 15,000 or so. I would think. So I haven't heard if that was in the plans yet, but they've already been looking at this. They're looking at how much it would cost to replace the natural grass field they have there now for artificial field, because if you're having two teams play 81 games a season, it's not going to hold up. So that's already in the talks. They already have an agreement in place with Howard Hughes Corp, who owns that stadium, that they would be allowed to play there in the seasons after their lease runs out in Oakland. So they've been having meetings and talking about this. Major League Baseball Commissioner Manfred said he's going to come out here eventually and check it out. He said he hasn't been there yet, but some of his associates have. So I think they really are looking at that possibility. So if they get the public money and everything to go ahead with the stadium, I do believe that they'll be out here playing those 2 seasons or 3, depending on how long it takes to build and first demolish the Tropicana and then build the stadium. So that's going to add a new parade to that. But yeah, I think it's possible, and I think it most likely will happen if they end up out here.
Mick, thanks for the time, man. We appreciate it. Good stuff, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
There goes Mick Akers, Las Vegas Review Journal. All guests come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Look, John Fisher, we frustrating.
Takes your breath away. Nick don't even have the words, right?
Not putting a competitive team on the field for several years. Forcing the fan base to be lethargic because you're not giving them good product, and then turning around and saying, look, Oakland doesn't care about its team. We can't fill this stadium. We need to move to Vegas. And then asking Vegas to give you $450, $500 million to help you fund the new fancy stadium. Man, oh man, shenanigans.
And you're, from all accounts, you're not even owning the ballpark. You're going to rent the ballpark.
Shenanigans across the board.
You're going to rent the ballpark.
All right, the Western Conference Finals begins tonight. Our thoughts and predictions are coming up next.